The heck is this? What, I film underwater? Anyway, that's Logan and Dolce following me, and this is episode 1 of Greatest Moments in Anime History. As I do every Thursday night, I sat around watching the last Airbender movie while stabbing a cardboard cutout of M. Night Shyamalan, and I was taken by surprise. There was something I'd never noticed before.
Sire, I have good news. As you know, I conducted a raid on the Great Library, which most said didn't even exist.
Get on with it.
The exposition's really fucking bad. Exposition is a way of doling out information to the audience, usually through dialogue. There are good ways to do it, like building curiosity in the audience so they actually give a shit and want to hear the exposition. Then there are bad ways.
A gifted strategist, no one can argue that. Your failure in the 100-day siege of Ba Sing Se won't be held against you. Your son died in that siege, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
Again, I offer my condolences on your nephew burning to death in that terrible accident. I have good news. As you know, I conducted a raid on the Great Library, which most said didn't even exist. As you know.
Well, if he knows, then why on earth are you telling him? For the audience's sake? And if it's for the audience's sake, then what's the purpose of telling the audience this? Is it so we know he's accomplished some sort of military feat? Well, he's a high-ranking commander, so we can kind of piece that together by his rank alone. This is just lazy, purposeless, stupid exposition that we don't care about. So, if we can have bad or downright terrible exposition, what makes for good exposition? We're going to explore that and see how it creates one of the greatest anime moments of all time in a little show called Made in Abyss. It's a cute, totally kid-friendly adaptation of one of Japan's least controversial manga. I mean, just listen to the ending theme. It's got such a happy little chime there. Oop, there's the crew. That's Logan, Gwen, and Sophie. Anyway, listen to the little drummer action we've got going on. Very evocative of marching. No, not the loving march of my dogs following me to the kitchen. It's the march to adventure, whimsy, yeah. Shame those kids are going to... Oh, that? That's nothing. This is Made in Abyss. No, wait, This is Made in Abyss. Through the first 10 episodes, we follow Reg, an android relic whose origin is a mystery, and Riko, the daughter of a legendary abyss explorer. What's the abyss? Oh, it's the super magical place where you can uncover ancient relics. Fame and fortune await the bold. Although, due to invisible layers of miasma, ascending back up can cause issues. To the point where no one has ever descended all the way down and survived the journey back. Luckily, Reg isn't affected, seeing as how he's part machine. Our cute little heroes get into a spot of trouble, forcing them to ascend. Doing so will siphon just a tiny bit of poison blood out. Sure, there's some danger, but look, Riko's mom, an abyss explorer and one of several legendary white whistle holders, is at the bottom of the abyss and called for Riko to join her via...
Welcome back, Homo! What's he doing? It's a whistle. there someone more worthy of it than me?
Besides that, Liza was carrying a sealed document with her.
It's a letter from my mother? Well, is it?
Yeah, I suppose it is.
A letter? She even sent up her mythical white whistle. That's an item you never part with unless you're What's a minor inconvenience or two compared to seeing Mama? Aw, Riko's all tuckered out at this point, so she takes a nap.
息してない！リコ！置いてかないでリコ！
うるさいなそいつ
And what's this? A strange anthropomorphic bunny named Nanachi arrives and guides them to her secret hut where, it's hideous. Kill it with fire. Why would you ever keep such a disgusting creature as a pet when you...
Me and my buddy, Logan Dog.
Okay, Mitty is kind of adorable. The high, disarming voice, the fact Mitty seems incapable of harm despite the facial dentata elephantitis syndrome that we've got going on. Nanachi also really seems to enjoy having Mitty around as a pet. Hey, works for her. Most of us can empathize with having a pet or 2 or 5. We take care of them, and they give us much needed emotional support and affection right back. We form memories and strong bonds regardless of any communication gaps, which, yeah, there are some gaps there. Still, Mitty does seem to have some kind of personality or intelligence. She even gravitates towards the wounded Riko, laying on her in a way that initially alarms Reg. I mean, looking at the thing, who could blame him? But we quickly learn the blob is harmless. If anything, Mitty just wants to lay on and shield Riko, helping to keep her warm while she's out of it. Yeah, it's pretty cute, wholesome.
飲みたいことができたわ
おお、なんだ？何でも言ってくれ。
まあじゃあ頼むミティを殺してくれ
If you're like me and most fans of the show, you are now experiencing a state of mind known as... What the fuck? This is the first main ingredient for good exposition. Why? Well, exposition tends to be a bit unnatural. It often takes the viewers out of the action, sometimes out of the movie or show, and turns it into a lecture. In fact, manga and anime often run with the boring PowerPoint nature of exposition and dress it up in humorous ways, so that we are uniquely entertained when it's being doled out to us. Not every manga has that kind of tone and style, however. Plus, the longer the exposition goes, the harder it is to dress it up in a comedy bow and pass it off. Not to mention, yeah, a fun comedy PowerPoint isn't gonna work here. So if you can't dress up exposition in a humorous way, and it's going to be quite long, how do you get away with it? How do you keep the audience entertained and engaged while taking us out of the story and away from the characters that we've enjoyed following?
ミティを殺してくれ
You get us to want to know more. Here, the show does this multiple times in a row. First, by introducing this weird hybrid animal character who is unique to anything else we've seen in the show. Our main heroes are also along for the ride. In fact, she gives them both a path to salvation in a... situation where they're having a lot of tough breaks. So we're eased into wanting more information about this character, the help they can provide, and what their deal is. As we can see Nanachi heal Riko, we're simultaneously shown this unique, seemingly happy relationship where everything seems to be going well. Hey, there are certain relationships, like abusive ones, where you want to throttle the other person for an hour or 5. Remember my 5th grade bully? No. Well, that's because they never found the bot. Now you're possibly torn between wanting to know more about my bully that I definitely didn't murder and wanting me to keep going on the Nanachi-Mitty dynamic. Well, let me assure you I was just joking, but hopefully that helped highlight how presenting an intriguing situation can drum up interest, making you more susceptible to being drawn out of a story. We're shown this happy relationship, we're shown character dynamics that make it so the last thing we're thinking about is
殺してくれ。
that. Nanachi would want to murder her seemingly beloved pet. All of this, everything that came before, is setting us up so it hits that much harder when we do a complete tonal 180. Making it such a massive reversal is another tool to help create that much more intrigue. And that there is possibly the biggest secret to good exposition. Set up the audience so they want to learn more, and if possible, set us up in a way that also sets up the main characters to want to know more as well. As soon as Nanachi gives us and one of our heroes this information, this becomes something Reg is directly involved in. It's not just the story of some rando character who we just met, it's now a crucial moral conundrum for the hero we are rooting for. Not only are we dying to know more because of our natural curiosity with this situation and the tonal 180 that we just flipped, we're also dying to know more because of how this could affect our favorite robot boy. Congratulations, you have successfully made your audience want to hear a bunch of exposition. How are you going to deliver it? In this case, the writer takes a massive risk. He goes for a prolonged flashback. This means introducing us to an entirely new scenario at an entirely different time and having to build everything from the ground up. What's the immediate feel you get? Cold, melancholy. The ice and snow-covered, rusted pipes evoke a sense of extreme poverty and rot. To see a child, specked with dirt, hair a mess, lying under a thin blanket just a few inches away from this harsh environment tells us a lot. To see several others implies this is not a healthy, safe environment. We sense danger and despair. To contrast with this, the child's first words are,
父の底なら、おいら、ここに行きたいです。
expressing what their goal is. Get to the bottom of the abyss. Meet God in the hopes it has to be better than this. Almost too good to be true, excitement fills the halls as dozens of kids rush towards this man right here. We've learned the importance of white whistles already, but the very grand posturing and speech invokes a sense of religious grandiosity that this man speaks of charting a new era in abyss diving by using children. If it isn't all my neck hair poking straight back. Like a snake oil proselytizing pastor, he peppers the children with compliments about their bravery. Most laugh at the absurdity. Others, devoid of hope, or perhaps too full of it, they're more than willing to descend into the abyss. Surrounded by cold, lifeless steel once again, we see the two characters who have shown the most hope quickly form a bond.
私の探掘隊が護衛いたします。
ここなら拾うもの全部お宝だよ。
はあ、
ねえねえ、何でもいいなら私の相棒になってよ。
って書いてある。
奈落文字読めるの？
さあ、来てください。
ナナチ。
ちょうどよかった。ナナチ。さあ、順番ですよ。失うか、なんとかしたいですよね。あなた方が入ってるそれ、呪いを片側に押し付けることができるんですよ。可愛らしい生態を2つも使うのは惜しいですが、2人とも仲良しです。きっと成功しますよ。この研究の果てに深淵の闇を払うヒントが生まれるのです。あなた方のおかげですよ。 なるべく耐えてくださいね。途中で死んだら相棒も呪いにかかってしまいます。
ナナチ。大丈夫だよ。私が耐えるから。だから、私が人間じゃなくなっちゃったら、お願い。
殺してくれ。神様、助けてください。オイラ、ようやく見つけたんです。宝物を見つけたんです。どうか奪わないで。
You don't need me to spew a bunch of words to tell you about the horror these two endured. There is one nice-ish thing.
に受けた呪いが彼女にもたらしたものは、人間性の喪失だけではなく、死ねなくなるものだったのです。すりつぶしたはずの手足も生えてきています。蘇るのはこれで9回目ですが、少々形がいびつになる程度で済んでいます。
This knowledge fills Nanachi with hope, but if you haven't learned from this flashback, hope is a poison that only enhances how sick you get when it all comes crashing down. As if the horror of the transformation scene wasn't enough to already leave a significant impact on the viewer, we have just been told that this is an immortal being who clearly feels pain and suffers. It's no longer a question of why Nanachi would want help killing Mitty. It's now a question of, can they find a way to do it? But still, there is that lingering doubt in the back of your head. Maybe there's a way they can save her or fix her. And even as I personally had those thoughts, we see the tears that Mitty sheds. Clear evidence that she feels the pain of what's being done to her. As things continue, despite Nanachi's best efforts, any attempts to end the suffering only cause more of it, both to Mitty and to the injured abyss dwellers that Nanachi keeps alive in order to help before mercifully ending their suffering. Surrounded by the graves of countless doomed adventurers, she's left stricken with the realization that the one person whose suffering she wants to end the most is the one she can't kill. It's a kind of tortured life no creature should have to.
待ってくれ。
お前も見たろ。未だにミーティの魂はあの体に囚われてる気がするんだ。
少し考えさせてくれ。
Now, why is Reg her answer?
あいつがそう呼んでた異物があってな。ミーティの片目はそれで潰されて、そこだけ戻らねえんだ。直後に空気が焼き切れる。
仮想法と同じ。
私、誰かに助けられたのかな。お前のそれなら。
ミーティは本当に人間性を失っているのか？呼べば返事だってするし、それに。
ただの反応だ。どんな手段でも意思の疎通はできなかったぜ。
And there we have it. All the exposition is laid out. The real happy ending would be to cure Mitty, or at least return her sentience, and perhaps give her a choice in the matter. But we're not always given the luxury of communication with the sick, suffering, and dying. Still, to be the Reaper's scythe is not easy. Nanachi gives Reg time, returning to the side of the one she treasures most. The reality of those cursed with the decision to euthanize is a unique kind of weight. How many of you have ever made a terrible mistake? Perhaps knocked over your mother's lamp, deleted a crucial file on a project, crashed your car, or screwed up at work so badly that you know a pink slip is on the way. In that immediate moment after you screw up, you tend to feel a sense of panic and claustrophobia. You freeze up, and you wish time could do the same so that you wouldn't have to progress forward till the eventual moment of truth.
生きる理由ならミーティを殺した後君はどうなってしまうんだ
Sometimes a person ends up just shutting down, resigned to the inescapable reality of their current predicament. When forced to euthanize, especially when it's someone or something you care about that cannot tell you what they want, need, or feel, the fear that you have of that final devastating mistake is paralyzing. The desire to eat fades. The ability to enjoy hobbies dissipates. Silence becomes increasingly noticeable. It's like there's this fog that obscures the vibrancy of life. Perhaps it's a veil of death covering what's around us. All you want is to hold your dying loved one just a little bit longer, take a few more pictures, and pray for a miracle. And if it's bad enough, you hope for a peaceful passing in their sleep. Anything better than you having to make the decision yourself. You try to buy time. You mope. You bargain. Reality does not magically warp to save you or the suffering. It's easy at this point to forget that there is another tragedy unfolding here. Nanachi has considered what happens to Mitty after I die and leave her all alone. But the question we need to ask now is what happens to Nanachi after losing the one and only thing she truly treasures? Reg recognizes that if he agrees to do this, it won't just be one life that ends.
岩つぶては大きく焼けた鉄の雨となり雲へと変えてゆきます。狭間の空に首を伸ばした大きな亀が
ミーティを殺してくれ。あれ以来ナナチから持ちかけては来ない。このままでいいのか。ミーティは君といて不幸なのだろうか。僕にはとてもそうは。
言いたいことはわかるぜ。あんなに穏やかに生きてるのに殺す必要があんのかって話だろう。おいらもそのうちどうにかなって死ぬ。そしたらミーティは永遠に一人ぼっちだ。ミーティはさ、物も食わないし死ぬこともない。けど刺されりゃ痛いし涙だって流すんだ。それがただの反応だとしても永遠に苦しみ続けなきゃならね
え。ナナチ、約束してくれ。ミーティがいなくなっても自ら命を絶ったりしないって。
リコを治さなきゃだろ。
リコを治した後もだ。
残酷だな。分かったよ。約束する。
なら僕に任せろ。送り出してやる。
And there it is. There's the moment that absolutely breaks people. The moment you know hope is gone and it's time to end it. With love and care and dignity, you do your best to give your loved one the best, most comfortable possible scenario to enjoy before it's all over. You buy them their favorite junk foods. You give them their favorite treats that they sometimes won't even eat within the time you have left. And every second, you continue to agonize over the situation that you find yourselves in, wondering how on earth it came to this. The instrument of death is prepped. You know that you're seconds away from saying goodbye. Perhaps in that moment, you turn away, angry and sickened by how cruel life is. Maybe you break down completely and beg and plead for forgiveness. Or maybe you look directly into the eyes of the one you care about most, determined to let them feel comforted and loved through the last beat of their heart. For me, this moment of beautiful, heart-wrenching despair and dignity does a better job at capturing the tragic weight of impending death more than almost any show or movie ever has. You are set up to embrace and enjoy this odd couple pairing before having it turn into the crux of the most final awful decision that a person could ever have to make. We watch the stunning, agonizing balance act that plays out between silence, dignity, despair, comfort, self-hatred, hopelessness, the feelings that we get whenever we're forced to confront the final moments before ending a loved one's suffering. You want to tell yourself, it's just anime, it's not real. But there's a reason why Bambi makes kids all over the world cry. The characters on screen are reflections of us. They're reflections of the lives that we live, want to live, or in some cases, dread living. The better a show is at reflecting our reality, the harder we feel it. I was in high school in 2003 when my dad got Gwen, this tenacious Jack Russell pug mix who used to bash the bottom of the wooden fence hard enough to bend it in so she could calmly sniff the neighbor's lawn, piss on it, and come back. Truffles, adopted at the same time as Gwen, became severely. Sophie, a lifelong sufferer of seizures, was this adorable loving boxer who failed to realize that you no longer qualify as a lapdog at over 50 pounds. Christmas time again! Logan, as you can see, was my shadow when I was around. Dulce, however, she was still fairly young, and given her breed, we knew we at least had many years ahead with her. Days before Christmas, he started struggling to breathe. The day after I arrived, my dad was thrilled to see Logan barely seem to be having any issues. We had hope. But as adrenaline and the excitement of having me home wore out, each breath became more of a struggle. I had to actually put up a little bit of a fight to bring him in that night, because the hope we felt was fleeting, and it was also more dangerous than his failing lungs, as it left us that much more vulnerable to saying one more night at a time when doing so would have likely left him to suffer. And you see that in Nanachi. She's already gone through 85 stages of grief. She's gone down every avenue. She doesn't bargain. She doesn't allow herself to have hope. She has accepted reality, because hope in situations like this can be so dangerous.
Regu, やってくれ。
Happy Halloween, Zach.
ミーティ
Watching this brought me back to all those times that we had to say goodbye. And based on the discussions online, I wasn't alone. This scene broke people. Everything from the setup to the backstory to the horrifying end. It captured something raw and painful in a way that most modern entertainment could only dream of. Most importantly, it did so with the kind of heart, dignity, and relentless cruelty that only life could deliver. If the job of entertainment is to fill us with emotion and reflect the struggles we face, I can't imagine it being done much better than this. That's why I covered this first as one of the greatest moments in anime history. I hope you all, well, hard to say enjoyed, because my God, was this a lot, but I hope you got something out of this. Whether it be a little lesson on how to write solid exposition, or an appreciation for the art of brilliant, relatable character writing, and the importance of representing even the hardest things that a person has to go through if you really want your work to ever stand out. Next time on Greatest Moments in Anime History, I'll aim for something a little less soul-crushing and a lot more uplifting, though it too will also come with a sad air of finality by the end of it. Just not as miserably final as euthanasia. Big leap, I know. Peace.